Hi, Keith here from Academy of Bass. This lesson's about recording your playing. All of the bass players and great bass lines that we hear, we listen to from a listener's point of view. Now, you might think that's a really daft thing of me to say, and you might think that I'm stating the obvious, but what I mean by that is whenever we hear a piece of music, we're listening to the bass and digesting it in context within the music that it's being played. So we're listening to our musical heroes and analysing their playing, and in doing that, we get to learn about their timing, the rhythms that they use, their note choice, the techniques they're using, their sound, everything. But do you record your own playing?
Do ya? Punks?
And if you're sat there thinking, well, actually, no, I don't, it really is something that you should be doing, because apart from organising what you practice, recording whatever you're working on will give you the chance to evaluate your own playing, listen to it and analyse it in exactly the same way that you do all of the great bass players that you're trying to emulate and learn from. So it's really important to record your playing. When we play and practice things, it can be really difficult to listen critically to what we're playing, because all of our effort is going into making sure that we're playing the right notes at the right time and with the proper technique, and quite rightly so. So let me play something really quickly for you. If you don't recognise that, it was Captain Hook by Vulfpeck, played by the absolutely fabulous Joe Dart. And there's a full transcription of that bass line in the PDF for this lesson, so I'll post a link to that below. Whilst I was playing that there, I was really focused on what I was doing, and in my head I'm thinking, yeah, that was pretty good. But because you're listening to it in the same way that you do everything else, you might be sat there thinking, yeah, that was okay, but it wasn't all that. There might have been some timing issues, some of the technique could have been untidy, some of the muting. I might have been a bit sloppy transitioning to different parts of the neck, but you being able to evaluate all of that. So recording your own playing and listening back is one of the best ways to learn about your own playing, your own timing, your own note choice, and everything about your overall playing. And there are other important lessons that you might learn too. Firstly, you might actually realise that you're not quite as good as you thought you were, which is a real positive, because you'll start being able to identify what you need to work on so you can improve your playing. And similarly, you might actually realise that you're far better than you thought you were, which is a great positive. And all of that comes from recording your own playing. Right from the early stages of when I started playing, although recording technology wasn't what it is today in terms of the software that's available to us, digital audio workstations, and even the quality that you get on a mobile phone, I had a little rhythm generator. You'll notice that I'm not calling it a drum machine because the sounds that it produced could only loosely be described as drums, but I thought it was ace. And I also had one of the very first recording Sony Walkmans, which was a cassette player that you could record onto. And I used to stand that up against the speaker grill of my amp, and I recorded everything that I practiced. And to this day, I've still literally got absolutely dozens and dozens of recordings of me playing. In fact, I'm going to play you a little clip now. That recording is over 30 years old and no one apart from me has ever heard it before. As you can hear, the quality of the audio is far from perfect, and in addition to that, the playing's not exactly great either. But even now I can still hear what I was working on, and that's another big part of the point that I'm trying to make today, because even if you do record your playing and you dismiss a lot of what you're playing as not being that great, even if you find a hint of an idea or a glimmer of something that you want to work on and develop, that's a great benefit of recording your playing. The last thing that I'm going to look at is this. Now this is the opening line of a bebop jazz tune called Moose the Mooche by Charlie Parker, and a lot of these bebop lines were played by trumpets and saxophones, and they don't really transfer that well to a stringed instrument, let alone a bass. So when we do learn them, it's really important to find a comfortable way of playing them so that we can articulate them properly. And this line consists of 3 parts so far: the first, the second, and the third. And I'm going to focus on the second, so I'm playing a C minor 7 arpeggio in reverse. I'm not going to look at any of this in detail because this is in the PDF for the lesson. So I'm playing B flat, G, E flat and C. And I like playing it here, it feels comfortable, it's where I've always played it. But we can also play it in a couple of different places. We can play it here, and we can also play a combination of the two. But that's got a lot more movement. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play them back to back, and I'm going to use you as my virtual recording machine and ask you to tell me which is the best. So here's the first. And the second. That wasn't very good. And the third. So let me know in the comments which you think sounds the best, the first, the second or the third. I still much prefer the way the first feels, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the third might have sounded much smoother, even though it's got a lot more movement. But that's the beauty of recording your playing and listen back to it, because recordings don't lie, so you get to hear exactly what you sound like, and whilst you might favour a certain way of playing some things, the recording might tell you something very different. Recording what you practice is a really valuable tool, and you learn so much about your bass playing. Most importantly, you learn about how you sound, but you'll also learn about your note choice, how you apply harmony and rhythm in your bass lines, and you'll learn about your technique too. And if you're anything like me and you like to take liberties and improvise whilst you're playing, you might just come across the next new thing that you want to work on that's going to set you apart from other bass players. I really do hope that you've enjoyed the lesson today. If you have, let me know in the comments. It's always really nice to get positive, supportive feedback. Make sure you grab the PDF too. Feel free to give things the thumbs up and support the channel by subscribing. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to seeing you again. And in the meantime, happy practicing.